really nice to have Serena Wright-Taylor with us. You know, she works with Consciousness Life Expo and is a really, really good friend. She's a sweetheart. And she wanted to connect with Colin Andrews, and we're so happy to have her introduce him. But I told Serena, I got to say hi to Colin, too. You're one of my favorite people. And Colin, thank you so, so much for doing this for me.
Absolute pleasure, Paula.
I absolutely adore you. You know that when I go on any show, I say you, Grant Cameron, Stephen Greer, the people that really, really did something. Thank you so much for your bravery and your honesty and integrity.
Thank you so much, Paula. And it means a lot to me, you know, to be part of this today via Skype.
Okay, well, Colin, we're going to get him back on, okay, on the screen. And he has, you know, he doesn't come out public very much. So this is a very, very unusual occasion. I'm going to have Serena read his background, and thank you again, Colin.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be able to introduce Colin Andrews. He's a longtime friend of mine and someone who is very aware and very advanced in consciousness as well as science. He has spent many years doing extensive research and investigation into the crop circle mystery, and he was the researcher who actually coined the term crop circles that went into the English dictionary. He was a successful electrical engineer, and he had many responsibilities in his work in the southwest of England. And then one day in 1983, he was on his way to a meeting, and he saw a crop circle in a field. And he thought, I've got to look into that. And we're so glad he looked into that, because that was the beginning of a journey of amazing discovery and investigations for many of us. Colin realized that he could not just study this phenomenon with his scientific background, but he had to open his mind to those things beyond our science as we know it. And since then, he's done countless investigations, taken part in documentaries on the subject, and written many books. And his latest book is called On the Edge of Reality, and I really recommend it. You'll realize more as you turn every page and then read it again. He has become well known internationally for his extensive research into crop circles, UFOs, the environment, and most importantly, consciousness. He's joining us today by Skype. Let's give a warm welcome to Colin Andrews.
Thank you very, very much, Serena. That was a very generous introduction, and Paula too, and to the whole team assembled there in Laughlin, Nevada today. It's a real honor, a privilege to be with you, albeit via Skype. It's been a while since I connected last with an audience. So thank you for this opportunity at a very unique time. If I can, in fact, run straight into the presentation, because I think we're kind of like running fairly tight on time. So I'll start my presentation by switching over to the slides. If you could just confirm that you are seeing the first slide on the screen. Well, sorry for that little glitch there. I'd like to say, like, straight from the start, and I'd like to nail why I believe this conference and discussion is in sync with a critical timeline. It's on a wave of change, partly influenced by an invisible, unknown chess player. The most noticeable feature of the changes now cascading into our world are manifesting by the placement of a mirror which is being placed in front of every facet of our lives. We see it every day now, and it is very clear to us all. This mirror is being placed in front of nations, politicians, religions, individuals, as well as partners. The human experience itself is under the magnifying glass of the master chess player. As truths surface, we reach into and reveal our core spiritual center. The chess player shows us that we have within us the entire toolbox to take the next big step forward, which I believe is the development and evolution of our intuition. First, though, our failings are being exposed and we experience the pain of karma. That is where we stand today. Let me start by my graphics right now by briefly speaking to what we call coincidence. The graphic that has been with me during that opening sequence there shows you a term that was used, came out of the television sets to 2 million people. One of them was mine, via a mysterious voice on British television on the 26th of November, 1977. I'll come back to it right now. So I'd like to start by going back 40 years to the biggest of all so-called coincidences, which I believe influenced me to begin my crop circle and UFO research 6 years later. On November 22, 1977, I was sat on the lounge floor in my home in Andover, Hampshire, England, trying out a brand new tape recorder that I had just taken out of its box. The television news was on in the corner of the room, which I used as my test for the microphone, which I slid across the carpet towards the TV set. I activated the microphone and watched the recording levels, and just as if orchestrated by design, the TV presenter's voice disappeared, as did the picture of him in the studio, which was replaced by a strange, metallic-sounding voice, which spoke a message for 6 minutes. I was recording all of this live, the entire sequence from beginning to end, witnessed by an estimated 2 million people, other people, and watching the news that evening. The area affected was within days of becoming the center of crop circle and UFO activity for the following 40 years. A precise message, in part, warned, be still now and listen, for your chance may not come again. You have but a short time to learn to live together in peace and goodwill. You must learn to be sensitive to the voice within that can tell you what is truth and what is confusion, chaos and untruth. As is the way of all so-called coincidences, with us today, amongst the presenters with you now in Laughlin, Nevada, are my close friends, Professor J.J. Hurtak and Professor Desiree Hurtak, who had their own bizarre connection with this event. They may have an opportunity to make mention of this at the end of the conference. The full message and actual recording is on my CD, Conscious Circles. This seems an appropriate place to open our proceedings today because in this tidal wave of insanity and change, it is time for truth. And we have to think about what the consequences and effects of that will be. And it also means that it will come down to us, the people, up to find it and deliver it. We are, though, getting bizarre help by what I call the master chess player, the mind akin to God, creating events that are masterfully changing our world. Now, what if the next big thing isn't a thing at all, but it's a new reality based upon truth? It is an imperative that we embrace the study of consciousness so as we can bias ourselves to that truth and the spiritual growth that must ensue from it. Ask two people what consciousness is, and you will get two different answers. This is my interpretation alone. Consciousness is the intelligence behind intelligence, where emotions and belief manifest change in the life force. The interactions I have investigated and on some occasions experienced are from a higher mind. Consciousness is reactive to awareness of the observed and the observer. It is the substance of form and the force through which we experience life. It is personal and collective, and it directs. It is energy, and yet it is not energy as we know it. It is something beyond. When we extend our awareness and intent to use the force of our consciousness, we can manifest a change in our surroundings. We are in full potential when we overcome the demands to fit in, but rather find that place where we belong. I'd like just to repeat that sentence. We are in our full potential when we overcome the demands to fit in, but rather find that place where we belong. The full spectrum of human emotions manifests unique electrochemical reactions which affects the heart, our feelings, and our brain, our intellect. Much of what I'm briefly covering in my opening comments here now can be found in the book, in our last book, co-authored with my wife Cynthia, On the Edge of Reality, that Serena made mention of. The kind of interactions with the chess player that I am referring to and have investigated or experienced are many, but here are a couple of examples. This was a day in 1986, flying with my friend and pilot, Busty Taylor, over a field near Winchester, where he made comment to me that wouldn't it be something just to see all of the circles, which are all simple circles we had seen to date, overlaid into one new intricate design. The following day, in the precise place the aircraft was when he made that comment, was exactly that. You can be seen below Busty there in this graphic. Another example was when I personally prayed, some might just say meditated, for a Celtic cross of a kind we had not seen at all anywhere in the world at that time within this phenomena, to appear as close to my home as possible. Both of those requirements or requests, or both of those thoughts, came to fruition that same night. That design appeared exactly as I had thought about it, in a field as close to my home as a cereal crop made available. This Tai Chi instructor, Graham Pritchard, he and his brother had arranged to make a design, the Flower of Life, in a field near at Barbary Castle in England. When his brother became ill that particular night, they had planned to make it. They did not and were unable to go and execute that design, but it appeared anyway. And here's a point that, you know, it took me some years to really see and to test to gather the data to support this growing feeling that the precisely same interactive mechanisms are at work with the UFO. There's no difference, as I can see it, where you feel something happening and it appears in the field, or you request it, it appears in the field, or you interact, or something is interacting with you in that process. There is no difference to flashing a laser beam into the sky or having a feeling something is about to happen and a UFO not only appears but interacts with you. This was one example where I was present with Nippon Television back some years, 1991 I believe it was, and I was able through my job in regional government to interact with the National Day West Drayton Air Traffic Control Center at Heathrow as it was actually happening, and confirming that no aircraft were in the vicinity. These are all just examples of interaction. So I suggest that what I am sharing with you today is the nature of the vast quantum energy field in which consciousness exists. It is influenced by thought and is interactive throughout. As a consequence, it's a very important point. This has been missed so majorly in the crop circle research in particular, that as a consequence, a researcher does more than research a crop circle, just as a human crop circle maker does more than make. It is the interactions between them is where we evolve to a reality based upon truth, but truth it must be to reach that better place within consciousness. Comparing a prayer or meditation for a crop circle to appear to have it do so is no different to flashing a laser towards a UFO and it too responding. My belief is that these interactions are widespread throughout every human activity. The impressive lineup of presenters assembled at this conference, many of whom I know personally, will no doubt be speaking to different parts of this exciting puzzle. In my closing few moments, just let me say a few words about a paradigm shift. When we talk of a paradigm shift, the tendency is to look at scientific and technological trends that usher in new thinking. A great deal of what we are discovering, however, does not represent a change in science and technology. It represents a change in humans. New information engages the mind, events engage the emotions, an emotional shift pushes people to expand. Each person who has experienced a high strangeness event, I'm sure there are many in the audience today, holds a small piece of a larger picture, and it's time to put these pieces together. It's not about what we can theorize or prove. It is about what we experience and how we feel. It's about the changes our experiences create within us and how that alters the way we see and interact with the world. We are at a turning point, and it is people's personal stories that have gotten us here. Their courage is to be admired and appreciated. Among the things we can look forward to undertaking in this new and exciting phase of the human journey is to remind and insist our governments that they owe us the first ever Department of Peace, where none currently exists. From this time forward, school curriculum should include the study of consciousness and emotions. It's everything. To reiterate, it's time for truth. The data collection phase is over, and now we enter a new cycle of developing our intuition and acting more from the heart. As the Chinese proverb goes, for those persons who say it cannot be done, they should not interrupt the person already doing it. I wish my world-class colleagues in this house and the audience and global audience stream-living a great conference. Thank you so much for this opportunity and good luck to everybody.